So explain to us what libertarian is.
I hear that all the time. Let me tell you what libertarian is. Libertarian is someone who says you can be as liberal or as conservative as you want to be. Just don't force others to be like you.
Got it.
That's what we are all about. We are all about long-term solutions, not short-term solutions. We're all about changing culture, not just changing law. Law, we have to remember something. At the end of almost every single law is a guy or a gal with a gun who will put you in a cage. And if you don't want to go in that cage, he or she is going to kill you. That means you only use law when it really matters, not just because I'm angry, not just because I don't like you, not because you should do some activity I think you shouldn't do or whatever the case may be. It's only for important things like life and liberty and property and things like that. That's when you use violence. That's when you use force. That's what libertarians all about. Welcome to Libertarians Drinking Coffee Live. Yes, it is 3 p.m. Eastern time, which means you're probably looking at my mug. Yes, I'm doing it, and this is this mug too. Having coffee, the brand is strong. Libertarians Drinking Coffee Live here, and as always, I will never stop bugging you. Like, comment, share. It matters. If you want people to know that we got stuff going on across this entire country, you got to let them know. Like, comment, share, spread that wealth everywhere you possibly can. I know it's a presidential election. I get it. A presidential candidate, critically important. And on top of that, so are all our local candidates running, hundreds of them across the country. And I am very lucky. Today, I have with me the one, the only Indiana LP Congressional Candidate. There may be more, but the one and only Tonya Millis. How are you?
I'm doing great. And Indiana has 9 districts, and we do have a libertarian running in every single district.
See
in
that?
the state
There we go.
of
But
Indiana.
I got the coolest one with me right now. So I appreciate that for you coming in. I got to ask, Tonya, why did you decide to run for Congress, right? And then why now?
Okay. I'm going to back up and reveal my age a little bit. I graduated from high school in 1979. Okay. Ronald Reagan, shortly thereafter, he was running for president at that time. And I was so inspired by him. He was such a good orator that he actually got me involved in paying attention. Even
Reagan was my
level.
first commander-in-chief in the Marine Corps.
Yeah. Yep. But anyway, so I started following local politics as well as state and federal. But my passion for some reason was always the House of Representatives. And I think that's because that's where the heart of the people is.
Oh.
So for 40 years, I've been following the House of Representatives. And I got my broker's license, real estate broker's license, just 15 years ago. And love it. Just having a good time. I'm 58 years old, so this is not a career move at all. Sure. I just felt like I needed to take a stand.
Was there an like epiphany moment, like one thing where someone said this thing and you were like, that's it, I'm doing it. Did that happen to you or no?
Yes. I know, people will say, oh, I'm always yelling at the TV and our Congress has abdicated their responsibilities, and I'm just so heartbroken about that. And something needs to be done. And one day my husband and I actually, I guess we can credit AOC for partially me getting into the race. She was on TV. This was shortly after she won her election, and she was saying some things at that time that were unconstitutional. She didn't know what she was talking about. And I said to my husband, I said, how could somebody like that be a congresswoman and I can't? And he's looked at me, he said, because you haven't ran. And I was like, there we go. Yeah, okay, well, there you go. I need to put my money where my mouth is and get up and get out there. So that's how that started.
So let me ask you, obviously there's a ton of issues that you'd be concerned about. Are there, 1, 2, or 3 that kind of float to the top for you in your area, in your district?
There's a common thread in Southern Indiana, and I can mention that for the most part, Southern Indiana, is red. But lately, over the past few years, it's going purple.
Okay.
And when I talk to everybody, they are just so sick and tired of the two-party system. This and it's the same old, same old. Congress takes turns between the Democrats and the Republicans, who has the majority. And the only thing that gets done is more rules and regulations and high taxes. We're about ready to go off a cliff with the debt.
Right.
I think we're heading into bankruptcy. People have no idea. So I'm real concerned about that. But yeah, my slogan is roll it back, because we need to roll
Does that
back,
mean that
roll
the
back the
issue you
rules and
have
regulations.
is the debt? I'm not sure. Is it? I don't sure what that is. That issue, is it spending? What's the issue?
It's big government spending and
Spending.
the rules and regulations that put a stranglehold on our freedoms and liberty. Government is too big. They're up in our business, and we need to roll back. But
isn't there a huge chunk? Or if you're telling me, and tell me if I'm wrong here, if you're telling me that your area is moving towards purple versus red, that makes me feel like they're not that unhappy with government in general. I live in a very
they
blue
are
place.
because the red
the bluest of blue. Literally,
yeah, the red
is my congressperson. I'm not joking. She is my district, my congressperson. So I live in the bluest of the blue, and the people in my district, they love government. They can't get enough.
Not where I'm at. A lot of farmers and ranchers and truck drivers. Okay. I know you were in the trucking business. My husband's been a truck driver. Oh my gosh, he was telling me about drivers who were pulled off the road because they snored and were told they had to have a sleep apnea test because they snored, and until the test results get back, they had to be pulled off the road. I kid you not, this happened in the company he was working at. Now they've done away with some of that recently, but yeah, that's just one small example, because there's thousands and thousands of rules and regulations on the books. And I think it was a few years ago, Congress hired some people to do a study. How many laws do we actually have on the books? And they took a couple years, and they couldn't get an exact answer. They said it's somewhere between 20,000 and 30,000, but that includes amendments, so we really don't know. And then the federal, the judiciary, they have about 3,000 federal laws that people can get arrested for.
So let me go back to that piece then, right? So spending is one aspect. So if it comes to spending, I get it. Is it that the people don't like what's being spent on, or is there another way to raise that money? Tell me where that goes.
They want to spend their own money the way they want to spend
Got it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. The people in my district, which were predominantly red, are not happy with the Republicans.
Got it.
So we're looking elsewhere. Now, many of them will say, well, at least you're not a Democrat. I can vote for you.
Yeah.
I've had people tell me that. So they tell me that all the time.
Well, it's funny. I see that in the Midwest. I've been talking about that before. Arkansas, Kentucky, right? I live in New York City, so anything like west of like Philadelphia is like the West. so
Ohio, Indiana, Illinois. If you take out Chicago and Cleveland, we're kind of a mesh of the same people, what some people call us flyover country.
And I also see that there are a lot of people who, this Democrats are winning elections in blue in red areas, but not because the people like Democrats, because they're just tired of Republicans.
And they don't have a choice. They don't have an option.
Choice.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And I think if
now
libertarians can make that step, we could really make impact.
Now they do. We've got, I think it's 60 some people running for Congress in the Libertarian Party. I'm one of them.
Wow.
So if I'm going to do a little math, and I'm going to try not to bore your people with math.
Okay.
But separate from the 100 senators, there's 435 House of Representatives.
Sure.
You have to have 218, which is one more than half, to have the majority. What if neither the Republicans or the Democrats had 218, because there were 15 libertarians?
I agree.
And you can throw in some independents in there. And like I mentioned before, we've got, well over 60 running for Congress. I think Texas alone has like 36 running for Congress. But if only, not even half, but if only 1/3 won their elections, we can stop that oppressive two-party system.
Absolutely. We could be
it's not that hard, people. It's not that hard.
Agreed. We could actually be the swing vote, and we could actually run the Congress. I completely agree with you. That's great.
Yes, the Libertarian Caucus.
So
have
spending is one, regulations another, and your slogan is roll it back. Is there a third issue that's kind of top, or do the rest kind of meld into one?
It's the 3 R's: rules, regulations, and runaway debt. That's on my website. The 3 R's, and roll it back. So
got it. All right, I love it. So let me ask you: do you have a view at all on the government response to the COVID crisis? I mean, it's been hitting us for what, 5 months now, 6 months? What is it, 5 months now, give or take?
There's going to be some people that might be a little miffed when I say this. The CDC, which is called Centers for Disease Control, that is what they're in charge of. They totally dropped the ball, got caught with their pants down. And then you had FEMA, which is under a whole different department, coming over and taking on the responsibility that was supposed to be the CDC. The CDC gets like $12 billion a year. So I'm saying, get rid of the CDC. You can have a little agency that's got 10 people in it, to do what they just did months ago when this hit us. So a lot of people.
So you think the CDC really dropped the ball badly?
Yeah, they're bad.
Okay.
Huge bureaucracy.
So if we get rid of that bureaucracy, do you think we replace it with something else? No.
Well, like I just said, if FEMA's going to step in and do the job, that's what they did.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. What about the government shutdowns and such? Any comment on that?
Well, again, that goes back to the two-party system, and it's all political. They all want to put their hands in the cookie jar and get what, and so the government shutdowns needs to stop, and we need to get third-party representation in there, common sense. And I'm going to be one of them. I'm going to win my race. I'm going to be that group of like-minded people that go into Washington, D.C. I'm glad Justin Amos was the first libertarian to be a member of the House. Unfortunately, he's not running again, but he opened the door. So
tell me about your race. This is a 2-person race, 3-person race, 4-person race?
It's a 3-way. Yeah, the incumbent is not very popular, and like I said, it's been red, turned a little bit blue, and the Democrat running has been a city councilman for his whole life. So yeah, I feel real good about my chances.
Nice, very good. So right now, the Republican is the incumbent, I assume.
Yes.
Is the Democrat gaining ground or no?
I don't think he's gotten in it full on yet. I think he's waiting. Yeah, because we're in July. Maybe, he's keeping his cards close to the vest and going to wait till the end of August, September, and then go out there. From what I understand, he's a pit bull, and he's going to go after the incumbent pretty hard. So, and then I'll be walking around going,
Right. Well, I mean, Southern Indiana had to have a different response than obviously New York City did, right? Obviously, it's a different area, different group of people, it's a different environment.
Rural.
Very different, sure.
Yeah.
So let me go now to the next thing, the protests, right? After George Floyd's murder, massive protests everywhere, right? What's your take in Southern Indiana on the protests?
In Indianapolis, and also my district is a long stretch because of gerrymandering. It's 13 counties. It goes all the way down to the Ohio River, right across from Louisville. I actually reside in the middle of my district. But in Indianapolis and Louisville, they have had protests that good people with good reasons to protest. And then there was those that get in there and, have to show themselves and vandalize and hurt people. So the people in the rural area just see those images and they get
Sure.
turned off by it. So, yeah.
So, do you have a view on that? Do you think that this is should we be stopping it? Does it matter? Do you have a view either way?
I wish the local jurisdictions would get more of a handle on just keeping law and order.
Sure.
Let people protest, let them walk down the street with their signs, and we do need to pay attention. I think over the years, these things keep popping up with the police abuse that's been going on for hundreds of years. And so now, because of modern technology, people have a cell phone, they've got their camera. We're starting to see things that have been going on forever. So that's got to stop.
Okay. What about, what's happening now? It's the stimulus package. And I bring this up because the COVID response was heavily based upon shutting things down, which put a lot of Americans out of work and a lot of Americans at home. Now George Floyd gets murdered, and now you've got literally millions of Americans with nothing better to do but sit outside and protest, right? And I'm not saying to put this are invalid at all. What I'm saying is it's a whole lot easier to protest for days on end when you don't have to be to work in the morning, right? When there's no job to go to, when you've been sitting in your house for 3 months with nothing to do, and now someone gives you a mission, out you go, and you're gung-ho and ready to march every day. So what is the stimulus package? Is that a good idea? Do you care? Bad idea?
And here we are.
I mean, if you win, you may have to vote on one.
Right. I'm going to represent my district. And the difference between the East Coast and the West Coast and what we call the middle flyover country, I live in a very rural area. Ranchers, farmers, most of the people I know are still going to work every day. Yeah. We're not seeing that where people are losing their jobs. So there have been some small mom and pop diners that got hurt because they had to shut down their restaurants. But because of the PPP and the loans and stuff, some people are rebounding from that.
Okay. All right. So do you have, you think, a niche, some group of people who are going to say, the second they hear you, oh my God, Tonya, that's my congressman right there. There we go. That's the one. Do you have some niches of people who you think are going to immediately come to you?
Yes. And this is what's been encouraging for me, because I go to as many events as I can. Most of them have been canceled, but I'll go to a Firehouse Fish Fry where there might only be 10 people. I'll go. We had a women's expo on Saturday and got a lot of good attendance there. But when I talk to people, everybody has their own complaint. And most of them are what I agree with. But the common thread is they are sick and tired of both the Democrat and Republican Party fighting in Congress. They are done. They are done with both parties. So that's encouraging for me.
I like that.
People really do want liberty and freedom. They really do.
Good. Okay.
So it's not just a sound bite. They really do.
So how do you make impact then, right? I mean, Tonya, you're right. It's difficult to go to places because they cancel stuff. They shut things down. And some people are still afraid, right? Oh, if I go out, the world's going to end. Some people are still afraid. Some people are afraid that they're going to get sued if they do something, or there's a lot of fear out there and worry about COVID. How do we make impact? How do you make impact this year?
Yeah, and there are some people who legitimately have immunocompromised systems.
Oh, yes.
They can't go out.
Yep.
There are those people, and I know them.
Yep.
So, and I feel sorry for them because they're stir crazy. They're stuck at home, But most of the people are working and they're getting out there. You go to any store around here, whether it be Walmart, only half the people are wearing masks. Yeah.
So you think it's easy to make impact?
Well, I can't say easy for me because I'm working my butt off. I really am. I'm going anywhere and everywhere. Just going into tobacco stores. The vapors, they are upset. The tobacco industry is very upset with what Congress has done. So, yeah.
So that's good. So you do have a couple other niches too: tobacco, vaping. Same thing in New York, by the way. New York, the vaping industry is very pro-libertarian party for the same reasons. The government has been going out of its way to destroy the industry. So they're like, well, libertarians, you don't want to destroy us. And I'm not even a vapor, but I'm just like,
No,
why
I'm
are you
not
destroying
either,
the
but
industry?
I relate. It's freedoms.
Absolutely.
If you wanna smoke, vape, drink, whatever, as long as you're not hurting anybody else, it's nobody's business, and the government should not be. And here I go again on the bandwagon, putting all these rules and regulations and high taxes, the 3 Rs. So we need to roll that back. And this last, I think it was this last year, both the Republicans and the Democrats together passed legislation that's really hurting the tobacco industry. Raising the smoking age to 21. Come on, really? If you've got a 19, 20-year-old that comes back from overseas who's done 1 or 2 tours, he can't have a celebratory cigar with grandpa on the back porch because Nanny Ninny next door will call the police if he's not 21 yet. So, and grandpa could get in trouble for, contributing to a minor. So,
Absolutely.
It's nuts.
So let me ask you then, do you have another definition for a win in case you don't win the actual election? Do you have like I still win if I get this, or I still win if this happens, even if you don't win?
No, I'm all in to win it, and I'm not even going to go there.
I love it. All in to win it. Look, and if you want to help Tonya win this, head on over to Tonya for Congress, and that's for FOR, not the number. TonyaForCongress.com. You can see what she's about. You can check out her 4 Rs. You can see if you like what she's saying. I'm sorry, 3 Rs. Sorry. Well, if you can't roll it back,
that's okay. And there's a link to my Facebook page on the website, and there's a place where you can donate.
So you can donate if you want to, and I hope you can. But if you're in her area, her district, or close to it, and you can't donate, maybe COVID has beat you up. Maybe you're one of those diner owners who can't put the dollars together. No worries. She needs time also. She needs volunteers. She needs people to spread stuff on Facebook. She needs all those things. So if you can help her out, please go ahead. She can use the bigger the team, the better.
That's
absolutely.
Right.
The bigger the team, the better. If you can donate, it's awesome. If not, you can still support. Absolutely. So I kind of want to ask another question if I could, right? What happens if you win, and what happens if you lose after? So if you win this thing, you take this thing home, what happens? In other words, the odds are there aren't going to be that many people winning.
I will be going to Congress with like-minded people. I'm being optimistic here. I think there's going to be other libertarians that are going to win.
Okay.
And we will have that group of people. The goal is to stop either the Republicans or the Democrats from getting that 218.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when we'll be able to get together and start rolling back and putting some common sense. Going back to the U.S. Constitution. I mean, come on, that's it.
So you would define yourself as a constitutionalist?
Constitutionalist, no? Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. So what happens if you lose?
I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. I'm in it to win it, like I said, so I'm not even going to think about that. I have to stay focused and in my lane, and I'm going to go out there and get all the votes that I can, and I'm feeling really good about it.
I like it, but I guess why I say it is when you have people who take the run seriously, and we do in our party, right? This is a personal issue for me. People who take it seriously, and I feel like you're taking it seriously, right? You're trying to make this work. I love it. If they don't get the results they want, they often leave us.
You keep saying they. I am not they.
That's what I wanted you to say, Tonya. That's what I wanted you to say. Okay, good. You read my mind.
I am not going to leave the Libertarian Party.
You read my mind. Thank you. That is what I wanted you to say. Yes, because we need more people who will get out there and stay with us. Because the thing that I realized, from my run in New York, when I lost, I learned a lot even in my loss. And I was able to give a lot back to others, the things that I learned, the things that went right, the things that went right later, the things that went totally wrong. I'm able to give that to the people and show them how to do things like that, where so many libertarians run and go, oh, well, I'm out. So I'm very glad to hear you're going to stay.
Yes, I am, but I'm going to stay as the congresswoman from the 9th District of Indiana.
I love it. I love it. Good. Very good. Very good. I'm very happy to hear that. So let me ask you, Tonya, is there something you want to bring up before we wrap this up? Is there something you want to talk about specifically, or something you want to bring up?
Only that I request that people really start paying attention. When I talk to people, you only need to have a 10th grade education to read the Constitution.
Okay.
Read it. Article 1, which is the largest article, puts the power and responsibility to the people.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the president, the executive, that's like one of the smallest articles. The president, according to the Constitution, the president really doesn't have a lot of authority, which they have been abusing and using over, and this is both administrations, so I'm not picking on anyone. When we got attacked on 9/11, and we did the AUMF, the authorization to use military force, to go after the terrorists responsible for attacking us. It wasn't to willy-nilly go around the world and knock off any dictator we don't like. So I'm seeing where Congress is looking the other way in both parties if their guy is in the White House.
Yes.
But this
bombing
year,
people is great as long as it's our guy bombing them.
Right.
Yes.
And we had the women, the 19th Amendment allowing women to vote was 100 years ago. 1920. So here we are in 2020, and we're about ready to have the first woman president 100 years after that. So
look at that.
I think it's a slow creep. It's a slow creep, but she's little by little getting the tentacles out there, and it's going to come back around for Joe. I call her Dr. Joe. She's intelligent. She's smart. She's an attractive candidate. And hands down, she would make a better president than the two running. So
not going to hear me argue with that.
Yeah. So
not going to hear me argue about that.
I think people in our party, some of them are a little frustrated because of the news media. But with a wink and a nod, I believe, this is my opinion, with a wink and a nod, I believe the Biden campaign is going to, behind the scenes, tell the left-wing media you need to start promoting her so she can get up in the polls, because Biden needs a buffer on the debate stage. Trump will eat him alive. He's a showman. And I think Biden needs that buffer. So I think with a wink and a nod, you're going to start seeing the left-wing media start talking about Joe.
Well, I hope you are correct.
That's their strategy. That's kind of what I'm planning to happen.
So
which would be good it would be good for Dr. Joe, but I think the Biden camp does not want it just to be one-on-one on the stage.
But what about you? How does that help you and other people down ticket?
Yeah, it would help me down ballot. It would help all down ballot candidates if people got to see Dr. Joe and hear her talk about the Libertarian Party. It would help all of us. But
okay,
yeah,
I'll buy it. All right. Well, I want to, guys, I'm going to say thank you, everybody, for watching. I appreciate you coming out today.
Thanks, Larry.
Thank you for giving me the time that you gave me. I appreciate it. Thank you for everything we talked about. Guys, head on over to TonyaForCongress.com. That's F-O-R, not the number 4, F-O-R, Congress.com. Check out her 3 R's. If you can donate, please do so. If you can't donate, if you're in an area, join our team. Let her out. She's in it to win it. So let's see if she wins.
I am.
All righty. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Larry. Bye.